The 26th of April, 2026. Talladega Superspeedway. Carson Hocevar climbs out of his no. 77 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet sits on the door ledge and drives down the front stretch in front of a roaring crowd, helmet off, arm waving, living out a dream he had been carrying for years. Then he steers nose first into the wall, executes a burnout, and climbs onto the roof. And just when the moment felt complete, a phone rings. Cleetus McFarland is on the line. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Because to understand why this moment hit so differently, you need to understand everything that happened before it. Going into the Jack Links 500, Talladega already had a strange energy. Qualifying was rained out on Saturday, which meant the field was set by the rulebook. Tyler Reddick drew the pole, and Kyle Larson lined up second. Before the green flag even dropped, NASCAR had also made a significant adjustment to the race format, extending stage 1 to 98 laps, which covered more than half the total race distance. The goal was straightforward: reduce the fuel-saving chess match that had been plaguing superspeedway races and force drivers to actually race. Whether it worked is a complicated answer. Meanwhile, the championship picture added another layer to the weekend. Tyler Reddick, already leading the standings, announced on the Fox pre-race show that he had signed a multi-year contract extension with 23XI Racing. He had recorded 10 of his 13 career wins since joining the team in 2023, including 5 already in 2026. That announcement gave his weekend even more weight heading in. Then there was Carson Hocevar, 23 years old, from Portage, Michigan, driving the number 77 Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports. Heading into Talladega, he had made 91 Cup Series starts and had 0 wins to show for it. He had 5 top 5 finishes in his career and had come agonizingly close to winning the 2026 Daytona 500. He was leading on the white flag lap before getting shuffled out of line. He had replayed that moment 1,000 times. He carried it into every race after it, and Spire Motorsports, the team behind him, was not your typical mid-pack operation anymore. They had relocated from the old Alan Kulwicki racing shop behind Charlotte Motor Speedway into the former Kyle Busch Motorsports and Rowdy manufacturing facility, and now had the backing of private equity powerhouse Group 1001. This was a team in the middle of becoming something real. From the drop of the green flag, Stage 1 played out almost exactly as critics of the superspeedway format had feared. With 98 laps to cover before the first stage break, teams split into competing strategies, some stretching fuel runs as long as possible, others pitting early to control track position. Drivers ran well below their maximum speeds for long stretches just to preserve mileage. The front kept shuffling as manufacturer alliances formed and dissolved based on who was committed to which fuel strategy. Pit road added its own chaos. Denny Hamlin led the first major group to pit on lap 41 and came in too hot. He was penalized for speeding on pit road and had to serve a pass-through. His JGR teammate Chase Briscoe was penalized for a safety violation during the same stop after making contact with a crewman and sliding through his stall. Austin Cindric missed his pit stall entirely and had to loop back around. Riley Herbst was penalized 3 separate times before Stage 1 was over, twice for speeding on pit road and once for passing below the yellow line. Even Zane Smith's crew drew a penalty for an uncontrolled tire. One of the more unexpected storylines came from Chad Fincham, who started 38th. He stormed to the front on lap 10 and led his first laps ever in the Cup Series, pacing the field for 8 laps while saving fuel before stepping aside to let Hamlin back through. It was a brief moment, but it captured exactly how strange Talladega's strategy can look from the outside. When the stage finally ended, Ryan Preece crossed the line first, ahead of Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Fords had claimed 8 of the top 10 positions. Stage 1 was a chess match. Stage 2 was a demolition derby. Stage 2 opened at full throttle. After nearly 85 minutes of cautious, mileage-focused racing, the entire field unleashed at once. Drivers were going 3 and 4 wide, pushing hard into each other's rear bumpers, racing the way Talladega demands when the fuel saving is finally over. Bubba Wallace had made an aggressive call at the end of Stage 1. His crew short-pitted with 4 laps to go in the stage, took 4 fresh tires, then pitted only for fuel during the stage break. That sequence allowed Wallace to pass 22 cars on pit road and vault himself to the front of the field, heading into Stage 2. The strategy was bold, and it worked right up until it didn't. Wallace was leading the middle lane when the trouble started. His number 23 Toyota had been unstable under pushes throughout stage 1, and on lap 115, Ross Chastain in the number. One Chevrolet pushed Wallace too hard at the end of the backstretch. Wallace's car went sideways instantly, and the entire field drove into a wall of smoke and wrecked race cars. 26 cars were involved. The list of casualties was staggering. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Cole Custer, Ty Gibbs, and Wallace himself were all done for the day or severely damaged. Championship leader Tyler Reddick was also caught up in it. He managed to limp home to 14th, but his shot at a 5th win of the season was gone. NASCAR threw the red flag, and the cleanup took over 10 minutes. The blame conversation was complicated. Chastain's push was what technically triggered the chain reaction, but Wallace's car had been showing instability all day, and Wallace himself did not point fingers at Chastain after the fact. Got wrecked there. Unfortunately, Wallace said, our Toyota Camry was a little unstable getting pushed, but manageable. Maybe that hard of a hit was too much, so unfortunately, we wiped out a bunch of cars. Gotta debrief. Gotta be better. Ryan Blaney offered a broader perspective. I feel like we all just got pinballing off each other there. It's not like there's any blame on anybody. It's what this thing is. We see each other. We all just kind of get bumping and banging, and one guy eventually gets turned, with the car being as unstable as it is. It definitely stinks to be out early. When the race restarted, only 16 cars were still on the lead lap, and Chastain, the driver whose push started it all, went on to win stage 2. The final stage turned into a brutal 2-lane gridlock. With so much of the field damaged or eliminated, the cars that were left battled for position in a tight, unforgiving pack. Ty Gibbs made things worse for himself. He cut a tire from crash damage sustained in the big one, went up the track, and slammed into the wall, taking out Michael McDowell in the process. More cars, more damage, more cautions. With 27 laps to go, Tyler Reddick clipped the wall in his No. 45 Toyota. He stayed on the lead lap, but lost meaningful track position. Every lap that passed tightened the race further. The decisive moment before the shootout came when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. made contact with Hocevar, sending Hocevar into Eric Jones. Jones's No. 43 Toyota spun multiple times through the pit entry and stalled in the infield grass, bringing out the final caution on lap 182. That set up a 3-lap dash to the checkered flag. Before the restart, Hocevar's radio conversation with his spotter, Tyler Green, took a decisive turn. Green, an 18-year veteran atop the spotter's stand, started walking through lane choice strategy. Hocevar stopped the conversation short. His message to Green was direct: winners choose front row. Green knew at that moment exactly what kind of restart was coming. On the restart, Hocevar and Chris Buescher controlled the front. Hocevar got exactly the push he needed from Alex Bowman's No. 48 Chevrolet and used it to side draft Buescher, steadily pulling away while protecting the lane and keeping the field from organizing a challenge behind him. The white flag came out. Hocevar was out front, in clean air, with the field scrambling behind him. A last lap crash froze the running order. Carson Hocevar crossed the line first, 0.11 4 seconds ahead of Buescher. Bowman finished third. Chase Elliott was fourth. Zane Smith fifth. In 91 starts, Hocevar had become a NASCAR Cup Series winner, the 13th driver in history to earn their first Cup win at Talladega Superspeedway. The win moved him to 8th in the championship standings, and it gave Spire Motorsports only their second Cup Series win ever, 243 races after their first. A rain-shortened result with Justin Haley at Daytona back in 2019. That team co-owner Jeff Dickerson barely counts as a proper win. The emotion in Hocevar's voice after the race was immediate and unfiltered. "I'm just so thankful," he said. "This is the biggest dream I've ever thought of. Thank you, everybody. I couldn't have done it any better way." Hopefully my grandpa's watching. My grandma died last year, so I'm so thankful that I can give my grandpa a trophy now. Unbelievable. I knew we were going to win. I really did. When the team came on the radio and told Hocevar, "The start-finish line's all yours," what followed was one of the most memorable victory laps NASCAR has seen in years. Hocevar, who stands 6 feet 4 inches, used his height to his advantage. He pulled to the apron, positioned himself on the edge of the driver's door, removed the steering wheel, dropped the clutch, reattached the wheel, and hit the throttle, all while sitting halfway outside the car. He made a slow pass along the main straight, helmet off, in full view of the massive Talladega crowd. Then he steered nose first into the outside wall and performed a burnout pressed up against it before climbing onto the roof. Dickerson's immediate reaction summed it up in a way that only he could. He looked like Shamu hanging out the window, Dickerson said. We're looking for him because we can't find him, and then the guys out on the track acting like it's SeaWorld out here, hanging out the door. Man, these first ones, I'll remember this one till the day I die. That's doing it in style. Hocevar explained the thinking behind the celebration afterward. I've had this thought up for a while. I've messed it up every which way to not be able to do it. I don't care if it took me 20 minutes or whatever, I was going to figure out how to do it. He added that his goal was simple. He wanted the fans to see him seeing them. I just wanted them to get as loud as possible. And I felt like they would if they could see me seeing them. Ultimately, I just wanted to make sure I soaked every bit of it in. Crew Chief Luke Lambert had one response when asked about it. He's one of a kind, right? So I think that it's fitting for him to have a celebration that we've never seen before. Victory Lane itself was a scene. Country artist Zach Brown was there. Miss Alabama Emma Terry joined Hocevar for photos. A sponsor-provided Sasquatch made an appearance. Nearly every Spire Motorsports employee who had made the trip south was crammed into the winner's circle. The celebration joined a short list of the most iconic in NASCAR history alongside Alan Kulwicki's Polish victory lap, Carl Edwards' backflip, and Kyle Busch's bow. While Hocevar was still in the middle of his post-race press conference, NASCAR mic'd up a phone call and patched it through live for the room to hear. Cletus McFarland, the YouTube personality and motorsports figure with millions of followers, was on the other end. The context made the moment even better. The day before, on the same track, Hocevar had been the one cheering for Cletus during his ARCA race appearance, where Cletus narrowly missed his first win. Hocevar had run to congratulate him. Less than 24 hours later, the roles were reversed. Cletus did not hold back. I knew it was coming, he told Hocevar. I knew you were going to do it. You drove your tail off. We're all so proud of you, man. Great job. Hocevar fired right back, visibly lit up by the call. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Cletus. I hope you were jumping on the wall, or wherever the hell you were. I hope you were jumping up like I was yesterday. I mean, you're going to win one soon. You've got it. Then Cletus weighed in on the burnout. I was screaming! And the burnout, immaculate, brother, immaculate. That last word sparked something in Hocevar. He suddenly connected a memory live on air. Dude, I just realized I literally did this celebration riding on the door at Le Mullet's. So that's where I thought of it. I literally did it. Oh my God. Le Mullet's is one of Cletus's signature events held at his own Freedom Factory in Bradenton, Florida. The celebration that stunned Talladega had its first rough draft at a Cletus McFarland event. Cletus also uploaded a clip of his raw, unfiltered reaction from watching the final lap. He was screaming. The emotion was genuine and unscripted, and the internet responded immediately. This was not a staged PR crossover. It was two people in motorsports who genuinely support each other, caught in an authentic moment. And it represented something real about where NASCAR is right now, a sport where a YouTube star with millions of fans and a Cup Series winner can share a moment that resonates far beyond the traditional fan base. The reactions from around the paddock told a clear story. Alex Bowman, who pushed Hocevar to the win from third, was unambiguous. He deserved it for sure, and this is a perfect place for him to get it. Bowman, who had missed 4 races earlier in 2026 due to vertigo, was also relieved just to come home cleanly in third. Chase Elliott acknowledged the race played out in a way that left him with limited options on that final run, saying it was tough to do anything. Chris Buescher, runner-up by just 0.114 seconds, was gracious and honest. That was a fun race all the way until the end. Man, it was close. The frustration with the Superspeedway package, however, was loud and consistent. Joey Logano did not mince words. What do you want? Save fuel or crash? Pick one. That's what it feels like right now. You've got round bumpers on these things. The cars are unstable, and once everyone starts pushing and racing aggressive, it's going to happen. Blaney echoed the same sentiment and said he did not expect any changes to be made mid-season. Jeff Dickerson has never made decisions based on projected odds. He bought the Furniture Row charter and promised to build a championship contending organization. He moved into better facilities. He brought in Group 1001 money. And he bet on Carson Hocevar when nobody was entirely sure Hocevar had fully figured out how to race at this level yet. I can stand in front of this whole group, the sport, and say we did and have done everything we said we were going to do when we first bought that furniture row charter, Dickerson said. We're not done. We're not done. The contrast with their 2019 Daytona win was deliberate. That was a rain-shortened result that Dickerson describes as the longest hostage situation in NASCAR history. This one was decided on the racetrack through 500 miles of racing on 3 late restarts, with Hocevar holding off a hungry field. There was nothing fluky about it. Hocevar's own framing of the win was perfectly in character. Jeff and I always joke about that we're in the video game, he said. When you're a kid, you might have the create a character, race it up there, but we're actually in the video game. We finally did it today. This is so dang cool. Dickerson summed up his driver with a phrase that captured the whole dynamic. He has the most irrational confidence of a driver I've ever seen. That somehow has to pay off, right? It paid off at Talladega. With Hocevar now 8th in the standings and Daniel Suarez sitting 14th, Spire has a genuine shot at placing 2 drivers in the playoffs in 2026. Dickerson says the team has not even come close to hitting on all cylinders yet. Crew Chief Lambert points to Hocevar's continued growth as the key factor. He has always had elite car control and raw speed, but now he is adding a veteran's mental approach to the race. That combination, Lambert says, is a dangerous combination for the competition. The Daytona near miss at the start of the season was not a wound, it was a lesson. And on the 26th of April, 2026, at Talladega Superspeedway, in his 91st Cup Series start, Carson Hocevar cashed it in.